Well, I'm here with Donna Fiorini. She's written a fabulous book called The Answer for Life. And before we even get started, this weekend is the anniversary of 9/11, and the whole nation is mourning the loss of so many people. And also, a lot of people are walking around in fear because we've read in the paper or we've read online or we've seen in the news that there are possible terrorist attacks happening sometime this weekend in either Washington or New York. And this is a perfect time to have you here, Donna, because there are so many people walking around in fear. And I know that you used to walk around in fear. And as they say, you've come a long way, baby, and people need to hear your story. And I just pray right now in the name of Yeshua that God would bless our time together, and that if there are people out there walking around in fear, that they will trust God and that they will let go of all that anger and fear and anxiety. And we do pray the Lord's protection on our country today, this weekend, and all year long. So, Donna, you used to walk around in fear, and it's been a long journey for you. I wonder if you could share with our listeners a little bit about your story.
Well, thanks for having me, first of all, Ethel. It's
my
a pleasure to be here. My story, I grew up in what I thought was a wonderful, happy home until when I was 16, my parents divorced, something I didn't see coming. And, 16-year-old Donna thought, wow, Dad's gone, Mom's fallen apart. I can get away with anything I want. Sneak out my bedroom window, do drugs, go to the bars, change my license, And so I started doing all of that stuff at a very young age. What I didn't realize was that behavior was medicating a pain. And I was doing things to look to meet my needs, to make me feel accepted, secure, find value and worth in the people who paid attention to me. And instead of finding that in the Lord, I didn't know him at the time, but I was just circling that empty abyss is what it felt like, looking for my place in life. So it was a very scary time. I think kids at that age, they feel fear, they feel intimidation, they feel insecure, and they look to find all their value and self-worth in their friends in school, what group they're in, what crowd they graft them into. So it's a very fearful time for a young person.
How did you ever find your way out of that?
Well, it took a long time. Between the ages of 16 and 26, I circled that abyss. And during that time, I got pregnant, I got married, in that order. And and I just, life was hell. It was difficult. I was struggling. And it took me hitting rock bottom, which for me, I was doing drugs. I was working in a bar. I was just crying out to God for help. And he answered me. He drew me to himself. There was a cross on a church steeple outside of the bar I used to work at, and I would go out there and get high, and I'd look up at the cross and just cry out, God help me, God help me. And he started to draw my heart and open my eyes, and I started to see and notice him. It was an amazing time because it was like I went from darkness to light. Suddenly, things that I never noticed. You know how the clouds became brighter, the sky became brighter, you started noticing creation, and so he started to draw me like that, but I hadn't changed. I was just being drawn and wanting to say, okay, you're there, help me, help me. But inside I was still fearful, still insecure. None of that had changed in me.
Well, Donna, it's interesting that you say it like that, because I think a lot of us come to a point in our life where we say, yes, Lord, and we invite him into our heart, and we even start going to Messianic synagogue, or we start going to church. But just as you were describing, a lot of us are still holding on to anger and fear and anxiety, and I'm anxious to hear how you learn to let go of all of that, because it's really hard.
It's really hard. And I say when I teach my class that the church is filled with people just like me. We put on a smile on our face and we go in and we're there really to get our fix for the week, to feel better. But then we go back home and we're still the same on the inside. We're broken. Many of us are broken and fragmented in our soul. Our mind is tormented with toxic thoughts and fears and insecurities. And that part of us has not changed yet. And how did I get free? I actually journal that whole course to freedom in my book, The Answer for Life, because I had to identify, what was I thinking? Why was I thinking like that? My mother-in-law used to say, my mother-in-law mentored me in the Lord. I love her dearly. She always would say, Donna, tell me what you're thinking. And then she would take my thoughts and turn them right.
Wow.
It's powerful. You can help anybody by saying, tell me what you're thinking. And when they tell you their thought process, if you know the Lord, if you know His Word, you can turn their thoughts from a negative, fearful direction to a positive, faith-based direction.
I love it. Let me just say, if you just turned the station on, this is Ethel Chadwick. You're listening to Bagels and Blessings, and I'm here with author, teacher, pastor Donna Fiorini. And Rabbi Jim at Congregation Shemaiah Royale has been teaching about toxic thoughts and emotions and how they affect our physical body for quite a while now. We started reading some books by Henry Wright, A More Excellent Way, and then we started reading some books by Caroline Leaf, a neuroscientist who has learned about how the brain looks and acts when we have toxic emotions. And then we discovered Donna Fiorini, who's right here in Rochester. And we're very excited, all of us at Shemaiah Royale, to have met Donna, because she's brought all of that into her book and her teaching, and she's right here. We can hug her anytime we want. Well, almost anytime. Well, let's do an example of this. Supposing, I'll use myself. Supposing that I say I overreact whenever I'm criticized or corrected, and I almost go back to being a little girl when my dad is correcting me, and I seem to not be able to let go of that. What would you say to me? Dr. Fiorini.
I know, I'm put on the spot. Well, what I would say to you is that there's something that happened in your soul. Your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions, and it functions like the hard drive on your computer. It records and saves everything that's ever happened to you. So from your earliest experiences, you had a reaction when you were corrected. And most people don't like to be corrected, and they get very defensive. Okay?
You think?
Yeah. Well, we believe that everything we think is true.
Of course.
First of all.
Oh, yeah.
And we're shocked to find out that sometimes we're believing a lie, and not everything we think is the truth.
Ooh.
I know. I call that having deception in our perception.
Ooh, I like that.
See, we're deceived. We don't know we're deceived because we're deceived. So,
did you get that, folks? You don't know that you're deceived because you're deceived.
You're deceived. It's not until you line your thoughts up to the Word of God that you can see the error in your thinking. So why do you feel defensive and that you don't like when you're corrected? Because something inside of you is wanting to resist that. I say to people, we need to be teachable. We need to have a teachable spirit. Even if somebody is trying to tell us something that we automatically go, oh, no. Line it up to the Word of God. It's having that humility and being able to say, Lord, show me where I'm wrong. And that's how some of my greatest healing came.
Really?
Show me where I'm wrong.
Ooh.
That's not a popular prayer.
That's very humbling.
It is very humbling. And show me where am I being deceived. And when He opens your eyes and starts showing you that, you can now see the error in your way and make the adjustments. You know, when you're unwilling to see that, God can't penetrate that stronghold. We think we're right. We think we have all the answers. We think everything we believe is true. Isn't that interesting?
Uh-huh.
Just because we think it's true. Wow. That doesn't make it true or right. And so being willing to come out of agreement with wrong thinking. You don't have to be afraid of this. You don't have to be insecure about that or worried or feel like someone's judging you. It's not all about you. It's about changing your heart, changing your mind, and lining it up to the Word of God. Then you can start receiving from Him. And I'll tell you, it clears the static out so you could receive from Him too. You could hear his voice.
I like that.
Isn't that interesting?
Wow. People are going to want to know how to get your book, and they're going to want to know how to contact you. You have a website?
I have a website.
Woohoo!
And, well, my name is Fiorini, and that's kind of hard to pronounce and spell. So I made the website simple. It's the title of my book, TheAnswerForLifeBook.com.
TheAnswerForLifeBook.com. Save it, bookmark it. You're going to want to go there, folks.
When you go there, you can watch videos, you can listen to my teachings for free, you can find out everything you need to know about the book.
Well, I don't know if we had a winner yet, but how about we have another winner? Again, you're not going to go on the air, but I'll just take the first caller, and you're going to get a copy of Donna's book, The Answer for Life. And let me tell you something, this book will change your life. So the first caller, if you haven't won anything in the last 30 days, 222-2990, we'll take your name down, and we'll take your address down, and you'll get a free copy. I bet you she'll even autograph it.
Yes, I will.
All righty then, 222-2990, the first caller gets a book. This is wonderful.